Hi there, my name is Toby and today I want to talk about diet. I'm going to call my diet or my idea about diet the shamanic diet because it's really all about energy. It's about the life force energy, and that's what we need. We need good energy for a good body to live long and live well. It's simple as that. And of course the best energy we can get will be from the best food that we eat. And first of all, we've got to look at it. What are we actually eating? First of all, what are we eating? Well, really, we're eating three things. We're eating a material substance. In other words, we are eating nutrients, minerals, vitamins, something physical that we are digesting. But we're also eating something else. We're also eating flavor, taste. And that is subjective. That's interesting. That's different. That is moving towards metaphysics. We are also eating for pleasure, enjoyment. And we must not disregard that. That is the second thing that we are eating. Very important. I'll come to that more. But the third thing we are eating, again, very interesting, is we are eating energy itself. Energy. In other words, electromagnetism, or life force itself. If you eat raw foods, they have more living energy. There's enzymes in there, bacteria in there. And bacteria are alive. And we need to eat bacteria. We know that now, fermented foods. But you are essentially eating the life force itself. Electromagnetism and living microorganisms. And living enzymes. These sort of things. Life force. So three things we have to eat for optimum nutrition. And really that's what diet is all about. It's not just eating to survive. Okay, we can eat anything to survive. That's what we've got. But how do we eat to thrive? In other words, what is the best possible diet? Well, that's going to go again together with the body. The human body, and all bodies are designed in a particular way. And we're supposed to use them in a particular way, and we're supposed to eat the foods that they were designed to digest, to absorb. Now, again, this has nothing to do with evolution. I've talked about this before in a deeper way. This is really to do with efficiency. The efficiency of a life form is what defines its morphology. So the design of the body is to do with mathematics and efficiency more than it is to do with evolution. So that, again, the diet goes together with that. And it also means the other thing we've got to realize is the food we eat is not so much for us, but it's for the mitochondria. So we live in symbiosis with mitochondria, little tiny microorganisms, bacteria, well, I'm calling them bacteria, that live inside our cells. And those are the things that eat the food, and they produce energy, and they produce a chemical called adenosine triphosphate that our cells eat. So in fact, the food we eat is for them. What do the mitochondria need to eat? What do they like? What do they like to eat? And all life requires these mitochondria. You see, life itself is symbiosis. Life forms working together. Smaller life forms cooperate to create bigger life forms. You see, and we're hung up on individuality. We think that we are individual life forms. We're not. We are conglomerates. We are a cooperative of smaller life forms. So when we eat, we actually got to feed the cooperative. We've got to feed the mitochondria and the microbiome. You see, so there's a lot more to it than just what we think we want to eat. Okay, so the first simple thing to know is the mitochondria, what do they most like to eat? It's animal products, animal fats in particular. That's the ketogenic diet. But the mitochondria have been proven to be 4 times more efficient on animal fats. So the vegetarian and the vegan diet is less efficient, not so good. That's not to say that we can't survive on plant products, but we can't thrive on them, and we won't last so long on them. If you want to elongate your life, then you have to eat the animal products. And it's deeper than that. Again, it's deeper than that. A lot of people, you guys watching me, are already free thinkers, truth seekers, and you would have understood a lot of this stuff. But many of you will still be vegans and vegetarians. And then you've got to look at it, okay? If you're still a vegan or a vegetarian, you're still not seeing the truth. You're still not seeing deep enough. Those diets were themselves psyops. These were propaganda. These were deceptions. Again, these diets were put out there to weaken us. And you have to do more research if you don't know this yet. I'll leave links below to Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride. She's one of the best people talking about diet. And she explains it in great detail why you need the animal products, the meat-based diet over the vegetarian, the vegan diet. And she explains why they created them and the deception. So she's one of the best people to look into. But once you've got through that, you'll understand, okay, vegan and vegetarian is out. No, they're not good. And let me put it another way. There are no indigenous people. There are no vegetarian, vegan, indigenous tribes, indigenous people. Never. There's no wild man walking through the jungle. Walking through the jungle finds a recent kill, a dead animal. There's no way they will just leave that, oh, I'm not eating that dead animal. They value every morsel of food. They'll pick up that dead animal, check, yes, a recent kill, I'll have that, take it back and eat it. They'll eat nearly anything, bush meat, whatever they can find, they'll eat it. They know they value food. And again, it's a psyop, because even the vegetarian and the vegan diet is a modern thing. It's based on, luxury. It's based on wealth. You're so rich now. You're so wealthy. You have no idea what starvation is, that you can pick and choose. Oh, I am too good to eat that meat. I am a higher spiritual person. I've got higher morals. I won't kill an animal to eat it. Yeah, you don't know what starvation is. No idea. So you're now willingly starving yourself. See, that's basically what it is. A vegan and vegetarian diet is a starvation diet, a fast. Now, it's an elongated fast because you can survive, again, on carbohydrates and plant products to a degree. But there's at least 50 different nutrients that you cannot get in plant products that you need. You can only get from animal products. And some of these nutrients are so important that there's no substitute for them. There's no plant substitute for them. The animal fats, you need the animal cholesterol, high quality. Now, it's not to say that none of us want this mass-produced foods. We don't want feedlot meats, factory farming. No. We want high quality, high welfare, organic animal products. And if you've ever seen or tasted any of those, you will know the difference. And I've recently visited a farm where we're now going to get our raw milk. We get raw milk, one of the best things to ever have. And that farm, again, is organic farm, totally organic, natural. And they still provide meat, but the way they look after the cows and the way they look after the calves, they let them live their life, then they have the meat. And the cows are so happy. The fields where they graze, grass-fed, they plant herbs, 50 to 100 different herbs in the grass for the cows to eat. The cows get such an amazing diet. And they move the cows around to different fields to let the grass grow. And the cows come in, the cows are looked after in the barn, but they're so happy, they clean it up. They've got a method of cleaning where they're using little robots to go around cleaning, but the robots squirt probiotics, and the probiotics digest, all the mess that the cows leave. So when we visited it, it doesn't even smell. Does not even smell. It smells fresh. You can see how happy the cows are. And the cows go in to be milked. There's an automatic milking machine, and the cows know when they feel like it, they go in. The machine plugs in, takes out the milk, and then they leave. They get a feed. And when we were there, looked at it, there were 2 other cows queuing up to go in. So when one cow left, the next cow in, but the machine registered it. said, oh, you've already been milked. Nothing for you. They gave it a little bite and then pushed it on. The cows love it so much they can't wait to be milked. But the machine knows, all right, you've already been milked. We've got to wait a bit longer. Off you go. So it shows how happy the cows are. And the second cow, it came in. Oh no, already been done. Off you go. They can't wait. They love it. They're living the happiest life. So that farm also will sell Wagyu beef. They're breeding their own cows and they're so well looked after, they can call it Wagyu beef. And look at it now. In the world we've got the people that are selling you this fake meat powders. Again, all these powders made in China, mass-produced powders. They won't eat it. They'll tell you to eat these lab-grown meats. These powdered meats, plant-based meats. They won't eat it. They'll have their $1,000 Wagyu beefsteak. Never will they give it up. They know. And it was always like that. If you go through history, it's when there was mass farming, there was, again, mass control of large numbers of people. Now you need this monocrop. You need to grow wheat. You need to grow grains to make bread, to feed the masses. But the wealthy people, the royal family, the people living in the temples, the people living in the palaces, everyone brought them their food, their offering. They would have the best meats, the best fruits, the best vegetables. The other people have bread. That's where the whole thing, the upper crust, came from. It's all to do with control, population control. And the same even with eating insects. That was already done in China. I don't want to say the word. Let's say, these communist places. But that eastern country, it. And it was done because they said, they put out the information. You can eat anything, eat everything. It was for the poor people. Told the poor people, eat the insects. They're bugs. They're good for you. They're a delicacy. But the rich people, the wealthy people in those regimes, they're not eating the insects. But they taught the poor people, insects are good, delicacy, you have them. So now the poor people eat all the insects. And you can see them in these eastern countries, they'll eat them. Because they've been taught it. They'll eat anything. They'll eat the cats and the dogs. Again, the reason we don't eat these slightly higher animals is to do with the level of consciousness. You see, we don't eat each other. It's to do with the equal level of consciousness. You only eat the lower level consciousnesses. It's the same way life works. Inside our body is lower level consciousness beings. Bacteria, you can't say they're high level consciousness. Lower level consciousness works together to build higher level consciousness. So it's okay that we eat animal products. It's not a big deal. That's why I call it the shamanic diet. You have to understand this principle. And I'll tell you a little story. It comes from Carlos Castaneda. If any of you read him, he's got a whole method of explaining shamanism. Again, his work could be fictional. It doesn't matter if it's fiction. He's describing true shamanic philosophy. It's the real deal what he's saying in those books. Anyway, the story goes that the young shaman, Carlos Castaneda, is learning from the master, Don Juan, the shaman. And they're out camping. So they've got to catch something to eat. So he says to Carlos, look, you've got to catch something. Catch this rabbit. So they catch a rabbit and says, all right, now you've got to kill it. Kill the rabbit so we can eat it. And Carlos, I just can't kill it. I can't do this. I can't kill it. So he says, well, all right, we won't eat then. Don't worry, let it go. Let it go. So Carlos Castaneda lets the rabbit go. Rabbit runs off, goes about 50 yards, and then it curls over and drops dead. This is the story. Just drops dead. So that's when Don Juan, the master, says, you see, it's the rabbit's time to go. It's the time. It's not a big deal. So then they just went over, picked up the rabbit, and of course they cooked it. So this is to do with the philosophy of life and death. It's a very difficult philosophy to get your head around. And we've been programmed with a very materialistic mindset. It's a very arrogant mindset. We believe we can control life and death. We cannot. We cannot. Inside our body, things are living and dying all the time. And it's arrogance of a vegetarian and a vegan to think they can rise above this. And it's arrogance that will be to their detriment. To their detriment. And again, my life, I was initially vegetarian. Most of my life I was vegetarian, very poor diet. Yeah, vegetarian was meant to be healthy, very poor diet. Soya products. I had milk and cheese, but I didn't have eggs. So still cereal, cornflakes, milk, white pasta, cheese. That's not healthy diet. Terrible. And that's why I believe I had stomach problems, digestive problems, and I had 4 major surgeries on my belly. 4 surgeries, which I recovered from. I'll leave the links below to my story about that. But in recovery from that, I had lots of damage happen to me. I had nerve damage in the surgeries. My legs were paralysed, and they came back, of course, but one leg was damaged. So I had for a year numbness, tingling down the leg. And at that time, I still thought vegan diet, maybe that's the way. So I was perfectly vegan, high quality vegan, sprouting everything, fresh herbs, plants, everything fresh, raw, even raw. And I just got weaker and weaker, and this nerve damage got worse and worse and worse. Finally, I had to accept it after a year. This is not working. Within 2 weeks of having animal products, 2 weeks after a year of vegan diet, I got stronger. I got stronger at the gym. Immediately I had more energy. And immediately I felt my nerve damage get better. Then a year after that, even 6 months after that, the nerve damage finally went. And now it's gone. Gone. So I fixed nerve damage. That's a difficult thing to fix, but I did it with diet. Again, study Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride to learn more. So once you've got the idea that it's not the vegetarian diet, we've got to let all that go. The vegan diet, that's propaganda. That is to weaken us. And it's the same with the food pyramid. If you want to believe what the GOVT, the authorities tell us, they give us a food pyramid. Anyone looks at that and knows it's madness, nonsense. And if you look at that, you have to ask the question, how is it the GOVT, the authorities are giving us this? If you believe they are looking after us, and that's what they tell us to eat, oh, you're very naive. They're telling us to eat that because they don't mind us sick. And if you can see the lies they'll tell us about diet, then you've got to wonder what are the lies they tell us about medicine. So that's another story, the food pyramid, the American standard diet. It's madness, corruption, insanity. It's because everything is corporate profits. Corporate profits. Remember, vegan fake meat is powdered, very cheap, with a massive profit margin. They charge you more for it. Same with lab-grown meat. Lab-grown meat is essentially a tumour. It's an immortal cell. Cells go mad, keep growing. The only way that happens is with a tumour. So I don't want to say the word, but it begins with C. The terrible disease we don't like, that's what they're growing, and they're calling that meat, and then you eat it. So in terms of diet, what should we eat? Well, my approach is simple. We've got to go back, let's go back 100,000 years or something before we had mass-produced food. So we don't have bread. Before bread, what were we eating? The wild men will be eating bush meat, and they'll be eating plants, berries, and fruits. They would eat everything they could find. But the berries and the fruits, of course, will be in season. And the plants they would eat, they would leaves, but they'd have hundreds, if not thousands, of different plants and herbs. And they would know the medicinal value. And of course, they would eat some roots. Again, the roots would be small, potent, and they'd be medicinal. So we've got all of these things that we can eat. But the sequence, I've worked it out in a sequence of importance. And I want to take you through it step by step. And my idea is this. Just look at the natural foods we've got in the world. There's probably 10, 20 or 30 foods available to us. That's it. All we've got to do is work out which are the most nutritious of these foods and then eat those. So it's going to only be 10, 20, 30 different foods. And we eat them in their most natural form. As natural as possible, high quality, high welfare, organic. So I'm going to take you through all the food groups one by one and give you the number one food and a few other suggestions. So this is in sequence of importance. So the most important food, the number one food of all, is animal products, meat. So again, I'm sorry vegetarians, vegans. The number one meat I would say is beef. Beef. But you can have any meats, all different meats, all variations. After that might be venison, wild meats, lamb, pork, even pork. People don't like that. Very good, nothing wrong with that. Especially if you've got wild boar, pigs, rummaging in the forest. See, wild meat has eaten a more varied diet. It's got higher energy. But beef, again, high welfare beef is easy. You can live on that alone and you will thrive very well. And you need the fat, animal fats. And animal fats you can cook with. They're still okay. If you can cook with beef tallow, it's the best of the best. Frying with oils, seed oils is poison. Seed oils are no-no. Even olive oil is not too bad, but when you cook with it, yeah. Olive oil we use, it's a compromise, but it's not as good as beef tallow. If you can get that, and I'm still trying to get some of that, then you cook with that. So that's the number one, beef. Then after that, you've got, I'm going to put after that fish. Fish products. So fish products, the number one fish is going to be wild salmon. Wild salmon, high oily fish. You've got the vitamin D in that. Very potent fish. But all fish going to be good. You've got deep sea fish, you've got freshwater fish. Wild is still the best. Even farmed salmon, not too bad, but get organic. So again, you're paying higher price now. They're pricing us out of this food. They want us to eat the cheap, unhealthy food. But you don't need so much. You've got to pay for it, but you don't need so much. So that's number two, seafood. Now number three, let's put number three, I'm going to put as shellfish. Shellfish, again seafood, and again you could say a certain level of insects there, like people do eat snails. Snails not too bad, but the number one I would say is oysters. Oysters as a seafood. And even vegans, vegetarians, you shouldn't feel bad about that. They're not an animal. They're no nervous system. They call them the fruit of the sea. The minerals in an oyster are so potent. The life force you will get from an oyster and regenerate you. Very powerful. An oyster can live thousands of years. They have to live in fresh water, clean seawater. It's one of the few unspoilt foods left. Oysters. And that's number three. Number four, I'm going to say, is milk products. Milk products. Raw milk, even raw milk could be number one. Number one, you could live off raw milk all by itself. And raw milk products. And let's just say all dairy. Eggs as well. Eggs. Eggs have got to be one of the number one food. The sulfur in the eggs. MSM it's called. You regrow your body. So potent. And out of the eggs, duck eggs. Duck eggs are number one. More nutritious than hen eggs. But again, organic, natural, free range. And if you can get it from a farm where you see the chickens, you see the ducks, and they're eating wild foods, this is the best. Best of the best. So dairy. That's number four. And number five, now now we're going into the plant foods. So we've covered all the animal foods now, including dairy, which is also cheese. But I'm going to come to bacteria. Well, maybe we'll do bacteria next. Let's do bacteria. So bacteria could come still before plant foods. So bacteria means fermented foods. So again, that's cheese, that's kefir, that's yogurt, that's kombucha. But even then we've got things like, fermented plant foods. We will come back to that. And you've also got fermented meat. There are indigenous tribes that eat fermented meat. You bury the Eskimos, bury a shark, bury a fish in the snow, leave it for 6 months. It ferments, And if you ferment meat, they call it high meat, because when you eat it, you get a bit high. There's so much energy on it. Now, I haven't done high meat. One day I might try it. But it's a real thing. You just got to get your body accustomed to it. So that's fermented food, but it's not the food, that is the bacteria that you want. You're essentially eating different forms of bacteria. And you'll also get this bacteria when you eat raw foods. Now let's move on to plants now. And now before we go to plants, if you're eating plant foods and you're eating wild natural plants straight from the environment, you are also eating bacteria and you're also eating some level of insects. It's very deep now. Again, vegetarians and vegans argue, what about all the vegetarian animals? And I'll say to you, there are no vegetarian animals. Everything eats meat. And look at it this way. They say the elephant. The elephant is vegetarian. Look how big and strong he is. Yeah, for every ton of leaves that an elephant eats, they probably eat 5 kilograms of insects and bacteria on those leaves. Let's look at gorillas. Gorillas eat bamboo or whatever they eat. Yeah, but they love termites. Every time they find a termite nest, they go crazy. They'll eat termites. And of course, on the bamboo, there's insects. And it's also been discovered that the vegetarians, because research was done, when the vegetarians over in this country in the West, compared to the vegetarians in India, there was a test done, the vegetarians in India were more healthy than the vegetarians over here. And they realized it was because the vegetarians over here had washed the food. Our food was too hygienic, cleansed. The food in India was not so clean. In other words, it was more bacteria on it. So it wasn't so much the energy was from the food, it was from the bacteria on the food. So again, bacteria. Okay, leave that aside. Now we go to plant products. The number one most potent plant product, most nutritious, high energy plant product is berries. Berries. And the darker berries are more potent. So blackberries, we've got blackberries in this country and everywhere. The darker the colour, that's the king. That's the best plant product. So out of all the plant products, I would say berries are number one, all berries, but the king berry is blackberry. And when you go to plant products, you've got to realise all plants are medicinal, but also poisonous. And they've always got a little bit of both. And you have to be careful. Some are more medicinal, some are more poisonous. And you have to get this balance just right. Meat products, animal products, there's no poison. That's food. That will just sustain you nicely. When you go to plants, it's less like food. You can't survive on it, but you need it for medicine, and you need it, and it can also be poison. So you've got to be careful. So animal products is food, plant products is medicine and poison. And these are the three things we eat: food, medicine, and poison. And the way I describe it, food will sustain your balance. Medicine will restore your balance when you get knocked out of balance. And poison will knock you out of balance. So you're in balance, take poison, knocks you out of balance. So that's how it works. Health is to do with balance of your energy. You want to stay in balance, harmony, homeostasis. All ill health comes from losing that balance. So a good diet will maintain your balance for you. So now we're moving to plants. Number one is berries, all berries, but the king is blackberry. After that, number two, we're going to vegetables, or plants rather, plants, leaves. Leaves also mean herbs, green leaves. And out of all the herbs, let's say the salad leaves, the number one in my research and my experience is watercress. You can buy watercress anywhere now. Watercress is very natural, has to grow in fresh water. It has to grow in a stream, natural water flowing. So it's very organic, very green, very fresh, very potent. And watercress lasts a long time. You can pick it, but it's still living. So number one king of the leaves, the salad, is watercress. But then after that is all the herbs, green herbs. Number two, I would say, is coriander, cilantro, fresh herb, because that is the most potent herb for detoxing. It will chelate the blood. It will draw out the heavy metals, even help to draw out microplastics. So again, that's why we need this stuff to detox now. And again, as an aside, I'll come to that later. Other minerals and vitamins help to detox. So again, to detox microplastics is shilajit. Shilajit. If you don't know it, I'll talk about it a bit later. Anyway, point being is herbs. They're potent. They've got a potent flavour. And again, the flavour speaks to your soul. That's when your soul eats the food. The nutrients, you might not enjoy it, but the nutrients is the substance. So leaves, the king of the leaves is watercress. Then you're going down to the other things, fruits. Okay, maybe I put fruits before leaves. So you've got berries, then you've got fruits. So all different fruits. But again, you've got to be careful. Some fruits are more acidic than others. But fruits, again, the obvious ones, apples, pears, bananas, yeah, as close to natural as possible. But those have been changed a bit. You know, they've been bred, they've been hybridized. So not quite so good. Same as vegetables. Wild vegetables, really, or wild herbs. So all vegetables have been hybridized, bred, changed. They're not so good. But you can have all those. They're not too bad. Again, get organic and look and study, research the medicinal value of them, and also the poison. They will have poison in them as well. But those things, again, now you cook them. So now we're moving on towards cooking. So we can eat all this stuff raw. If we eat it raw, even raw meat, beef carpaccio, steak tartare, all this stuff, you're getting enzymes from it. And you're also eating the mitochondria. There's still mitochondria in the living meat. And that you're still just eating it directly. When you cook it, you kill off a lot of that stuff, but you still get the nutrients. And of course, when you cook it, you render out the fat in the meat. And when you cook vegetables, same thing. If you eat fresh leaves, fresh berries, there's still life in there, life force, energy, electromagnetism. You want to eat some of that. When you cook it, you lose that. But cooking is another effect. And when you cook, it's to do with flavour, to do with enjoyment. That is your soul. So you cook to create flavour, taste, pleasure. So it's a delicate balance of cooking together with maintaining nutrients. That's why I'm doing some recipes. I'm going to do recipes bit by bit. But that's when you get herbs and spices. Spices, again, are medicinal. But it's a deeper medicine. It's such a potent flavour. The flavour, the taste itself is an energetic medicine. And the Taoists talk about it. And the Ayurveda talk about it. They're playing with spices, herbs, for flavour and medicinal properties of the soul, the energy field. So when you cook with these things, again, it's mixing, it's shamanic. So when you cook with herbs and spices, really what you're doing is making a magic potion, a healing potion to eat. And when you really get a good food like that, it's so delicious, it feeds your soul. That's what they call soul food. And we as higher beings have got the ability to create. We want to take all these ingredients, cook with them to make something delicious. So that's where herbs and spices come in. And again, roots. We know some of these roots in Chinese medicine, like ginseng, ashwagandha. All these things are potent medicine. Potent medicine. And then after plant products, you've also got fungi, mushrooms. So they're not plants, they're something different. And these are, again, it's the mycelium. In the ground is a mycelium network, just like the Avatar movies. And the mycelium network works in symbiosis with all the plants on the surface. So the nutrients are brought to the plants through the mycelium network, and the fungi are like the flowers that pop up the top. But it's a different thing altogether. So we can eat mushrooms, but we know mushrooms are potent medicine. Potent medicine, but also poison. Some of them will finish you off. Some of them will give you psychedelic experiences. That's medicine, soul medicine. Psychedelic means it has affected your consciousness, your energy field. And all of these plant medicines do that. They affect your energy field. Some of them affect it so much, it's psychedelic. Some of them less so, but you can feel the energy. You can feel the healing in your body. So mushrooms we can use, again, for medicine and include them in our cooking. So these are the basic food groups. And if we just got to eat some of each one of these, and they're in order of importance. So if you eat majority animal products, and my diet, again, I stick to this diet pretty much. So my best diet was essentially the ketogenic diet, wild man natural diet. And it would say 80% animal products, including milk products, dairy. And then 20% is berries, fruits, herbs and leaves. And then a little bit of cooking of vegetables, and of course cooking of the meat. I'd even have raw meat, raw eggs. And even you could have raw liver, raw organ meat. And again, you can get that fresh, organic from the farm if you can get it. But that's difficult for people to eat. But the nutrient value, and again, if you're going to get the mindset, which is, it's a mindset that rises above life and death. You are honoring the animal's energy when you eat it. It's done with a prayer. It's very deep, very deep. You are not dishonoring the animal when you eat it. You are honoring and respecting nature when you eat the animal. The wild man, the shaman, when they hunted, or even when they found a dead animal, it was a deep love, respect. We don't have it now. We buy the animals in a supermarket. We don't have any respect for the animal. A vegan will have no respect for the animal. They'll see a dead animal, oh, I'm not eating that. A wild man will see a dead animal, pick it up and eat it. They won't waste it. That is the ultimate respect. They see that as valuable biological material, not to be wasted. The ultimate respect would be to eat it. Be humble. Be humble. No, I'll eat that. That's humility, not arrogance. The vegans, the vegetarians is arrogance. I'm sorry. And I can say it because I spent my life, most of my life, being one. Vegetarian and vegan. I know the mindset. And I had less respect for animals as a vegetarian than I do now. We look after the whole ecosystem in our garden. We got wild animals. We're in London. We feed the birds, but we got everything here. We got a family of foxes living under these sheds. And we got a cat. We look after a little cat who's a wild cat, a stray cat, lives with us. So we look after the whole ecosystem. That's what it means. That's what it means. We are part of the cycle of life. We are part of nature, and it's humility and respect. And now, eating animal products, I have far more love for animals than I ever did as a vegetarian or vegan. The shamanic diet is a holistic diet, and you just look at it, do your own research, look at the top 10 foods that you can find that have got the most nutrition, and then you just eat those. Simple as that. And pick the ones you like. You've got to enjoy it. And I follow my diet maybe 80%. I still got 20%. I'll eat what I like. You see, 20% I might have some of the poison. I'm out and about. I'll have a cappuccino and a pastry. Okay, I'll have it. I enjoy it, but I know what I'm eating. So I might have some of these sugary sweets. But here's the thing. I drink water kefir. I have kefir. I'll leave a link below to this. Water kefir is again a bacteria that eats sugar. And I drink it all day, every day for years. I get energy from this water kefir. But water kefir will eat sugar. So if I have a sugary treat like a pastry, I'm always having water kefir. I'll have some kefir. The kefir will go in, break up the sugar, break up the the refined flour. It will help to break it up for me. So that's why I can get away with a bit of it. And again, I don't have too much of it. I know when to stop. Just a bit. And I'll have chocolate. I like chocolate. But chocolate, of course, got sugar in it. But I then try to find the best of the best organic chocolate and eat that. I won't eat the cheap chocolates. Got to have the best one. So it's all right, but you've got to do this yourself, work it out. 80% good diet, 20% have whatever you like, because you've got to enjoy life. Remember, I enjoy the taste of a pastry and a cappuccino. That taste is feeding my soul, but I know full well there is pretty much zero nutrition. Zero nutrition. So I'm not feeding my body. My body's got to do a bit extra work to digest it. But I'm feeding my soul. So I can only have a little bit of it. And if I really want to go into bodybuilding, or if I had a problem and I really got to heal myself, then I would go 100% to my good diet. I would go flat out keto, wild man diet, 80% animal products, 20% berries, fruits and leaves. And very little cooking. As raw as much as possible. Raw eggs, even raw meat. If I was on a serious recovery diet. And I don't need to do fasting. Okay, I will fast only naturally if I don't feel like eating. But you don't need to eat too much. If you eat this diet, you'll see you will be satisfied. You don't need to eat that much. One meal a day anyway does it. You'll naturally do it 1 meal a day, even 2 meals a day, or just nibble. These things are easy to digest, easy to digest. Animal products are digested with acid in the stomach, very easy. Plant products are digested with bacteria in the gut. It's slower. They ferment in the gut, and we do not have all the bacteria to digest them. That's why plant products have to go through. There is fiber, so we don't have too much of that. Animal products is digested. High quality animal products, organic. Remember, high welfare animal products, good energy. So I hope this made sense. Please do leave me any questions or comments below. Sometimes the comments disappear. Please try again. It's not me. I do never delete a comment. I value all your comments. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope to see you in any of these other videos here.